Captain Sarah Chen gripped the command chair as her ship, the Prometheus, dropped out of hyperspace. The bridge crew worked silently around her, their faces illuminated by the soft blue glow of the control panels. Through the main view screen, an alien fleet stretched across the void like a constellation of death. 67 ships, Captain, reported Lieutenant Torres from the tactical station. Unknown configuration, but they're big. Each one is at least twice our size. Chen studied the alien vessels. They were sleek, crystalline structures that seemed to bend light around their edges, beautiful and terrifying at the same time. This was humanity's first contact with another intelligent species, and it looked like it might also be their last. "Any response to our hails?" she asked Communications Officer Park. "Nothing, ma'am. But I'm detecting some kind of transmission between their ships. It's not directed at us." The bridge fell silent except for the quiet hum of life support systems. Earth's first colony ship had been traveling for 3 years to reach Kepler 442b, carrying 10,000 sleeping colonists in cryogenic pods. They had expected to find an empty world, ripe for terraforming. Instead, they found guardians. A flash of light erupted from the lead alien ship, and suddenly the main screen filled with an enormous face. The creature had features that seemed carved from living crystal, with eyes like burning stars and a mouth that moved in patterns that hurt to watch. When it spoke, the universal translator struggled to make sense of the sounds, finally settling on a voice like grinding stone. "Primitive flesh beings," the alien said, its words dripping with contempt. "You dare bring your contamination to this sacred space. We are the Zephyrians, guardians of the flame eternal. No creature in this galaxy has ever mastered fire as we have. We alone command the burning essence of stars." Captain Chen stood slowly. She had trained for this moment, but nothing could have prepared her for the reality of facing an alien intelligence that clearly viewed humanity as inferior. "I am Captain Sarah Chen, of the human vessel Prometheus," she replied, trying to keep her voice steady. "We come in peace, seeking only to establish a colony on the 4th planet of this system. We mean no harm to you or your people." The Zephyrian's laugh sounded like a volcano erupting. "Peace? You speak of peace while you burn fossil fuels in your primitive engines? While you carry weapons that create small sparks compared to our stellar fire? Your species knows nothing of true flame. You are barely above the level of insects that rub sticks together." Behind the alien leader, Chen could see other Zephyrians moving about what appeared to be a command center. Their technology looked impossibly advanced, with streams of what looked like controlled plasma flowing through transparent tubes. The walls themselves seemed to be made of crystallized flame. "Your translator has done adequate work," the Zephyrian continued. "You will understand this clearly. Leave this system immediately, or we will demonstrate why we are known as the Fire Lords of the Outer Spiral. Our weapons can turn your ship into component atoms in less time than it takes your primitive heart to beat." Lieutenant Commander Roberts, the ship's science officer, leaned over to whisper in Chen's ear. "Captain, I'm reading energy signatures from their ships that are off the charts. Whatever they're packing, it makes our fusion reactors look like birthday candles." Chen nodded slightly, never taking her eyes off the alien commander. The Zephyrians clearly believed they were the ultimate masters of fire and energy in the galaxy. They saw humans as nothing more than primitive creatures playing with matches. "We appreciate your warning," Chen said carefully, "but we've traveled 3 years to reach this system. Our people are counting on us to establish a new home. Perhaps we can find a way to coexist. The planet we seek is uninhabited." "Uninhabited by us does not mean available to you," the Zephyrian snarled. "That world is a sacred monument to the first fire we brought to this system 2,000 cycles ago. Your presence would defile it. You have one of your primitive time units to begin your retreat or face the consequences." The transmission cut off abruptly, leaving the bridge in tense silence. "Captain," Torres called out, "their ships are moving into attack formation. They're powering up weapons that are reading as some kind of directed plasma energy. I've never seen anything like it. Chen looked around at her crew. These were good people who had volunteered for humanity's greatest adventure. In the cargo holds below, 10,000 colonists slept peacefully, unaware that their dreams of a new world were about to become a nightmare. Options? She asked quietly. We could run, Roberts said. Jump back to hyperspace and report to Earth. That would mean abandoning 3 years of travel and 10,000 colonists' hopes, Chen replied. What about our defensive capabilities? Torres shook his head grimly. Our pulse weapons and kinetic projectiles look pretty pathetic compared to what they're showing us, and our armor wouldn't stop whatever kind of energy they're throwing around. Captain, Park suddenly called out, I'm receiving a burst transmission from Earth Command. It was relayed through the Deep Space Communication Network, marked as First Contact Protocols, Emergency Authorization. Chen felt a chill run down her spine. Earth Command had sent a message, but it had taken 3 years to reach them. Whatever it contained, it was meant for exactly this situation. Put it through, she ordered. Admiral Harrison's face appeared on a secondary screen. He looked older than Chen remembered, his gray hair now completely white. Captain Chen, if you're receiving this message, it means you've encountered hostile alien intelligence. What I'm about to tell you is classified at the highest level, known only to the Joint Chiefs and the President. Your ship carries more than just colonists and supplies. Chen's blood turned cold. What had Earth Command hidden on her ship? In Cargo Bay 7, behind the terraforming equipment, you'll find 6 containers marked with biohazard symbols. Inside are experimental weapons developed by the Military Applications Division. They were included as a last resort in case you encountered exactly this situation. The Admiral paused, seeming to struggle with his next words. Captain, these weapons represent something that no alien species would expect humans to possess. They are incendiary devices, but not like anything that has existed before. The science team calls them adhesive flame units. Essentially, fire that sticks to whatever it touches and continues burning even in vacuum conditions. Chen's eyes widened. She had heard rumors about military experiments with enhanced napalm, but she thought they were just stories. The thermal output is beyond anything we've achieved before, Harrison continued. More importantly, the psychological impact on species that pride themselves on controlling fire could be significant. These weapons burn at temperatures that exceed stellar corona, and they cannot be extinguished by conventional means. The message paused for a moment, then Harrison's expression grew grave. Captain, I pray you never have to use what we've given you. But if you face an enemy that believes they are the masters of fire, show them what humanity has learned about burning things down. Harrison out. The bridge fell silent as the message ended. Chen stared at the screen for a long moment, processing what she had just learned. Earth Command had secretly armed her colony ship with weapons of unimaginable destruction. Captain, Torres said quietly, we have movement from the alien fleet. They're beginning to advance. Chen looked out at the Zephyrian ships, with their crystalline hulls and plasma conduits, their arrogant certainty that no species could match their mastery of fire. They had no idea what humanity was capable of when pushed to the brink. Lieutenant Commander Roberts, she said, her voice steady despite the chaos in her mind. Take a team to Cargo Bay 7. I want those containers brought to the weapons bay immediately. Captain, Roberts said hesitantly, are we really going to— We're going to show them, Chen interrupted, that humans didn't become the dominant species on Earth by running away from fire. We became dominant by learning to make bigger fires. As her crew hurried to carry out her orders, Chen watched the Zephyrian fleet grow larger on the screen. They had called humans primitive creatures who knew nothing of true flame. In a few minutes, they were going to learn just how wrong they were. The age of human fire was about to begin. The cargo bay doors of the Prometheus slid open with a mechanical whisper, that seemed deafening in the tense silence. Lieutenant Commander Roberts led a team of 6 crew members toward the hidden containers, their magnetic boots clanking against the metal deck plating. The artificial gravity felt heavier somehow, as if the weight of what they were about to unleash was pressing down on everyone aboard. "There," Roberts pointed to a section of Cargo Bay 7 that looked identical to every other section. But now that he knew what to look for, he could see the subtle differences. The biohazard markings were barely visible, painted in a color that nearly matched the container walls. Petty Officer Kim ran a scanner over the containers. "I'm reading some kind of chemical compound inside, but the scanner can't identify it. The containment units are using triple-sealed isolation chambers." "Whatever's in there," Specialist Martinez muttered. Earth Command really didn't want it leaking out accidentally. Roberts activated his comm unit. "Captain, we've located the containers. There are 6 of them, each about the size of a missile warhead. They're designed to interface with our torpedo delivery system." Chen's voice crackled back through the ship's communication system. "Bring them to the forward weapons bay. And people, be very careful with those things. We have no idea what we're dealing with." As the team carefully transported the mysterious weapons through the ship's corridors, the bridge crew watched the Zephyrian fleet continue its advance. The alien ships moved with predatory grace, their crystalline hulls refracting starlight into rainbow patterns that would have been beautiful under any other circumstances. "Captain," Communications Officer Park reported, "I'm picking up more transmissions from the Zephyrian fleet. They're not directed at us, but the universal translator is getting fragments." "What are they saying?" "Something about cleansing flame and primitive infestation. They're discussing the best way to incinerate our ship while keeping the debris field small enough not to interfere with their sacred space." Chen gritted her teeth. The Zephyrians weren't just threatening them. They were casually discussing the extermination of 10,000 sleeping humans as if it were a minor housekeeping chore. "Captain," Torres called from Tactical, "the lead ship is charging some kind of weapon. Energy readings are climbing fast." On the main screen, the largest Zephyrian vessel began to glow with an inner light that grew brighter by the second. Streams of what looked like liquid fire flowed along channels carved into its crystalline hull, converging toward a focal point at the ship's bow. "Time to intercept?" Chen asked. "At their current speed, they'll be in optimal firing range in 4 minutes, Torres replied. Roberts' voice came over the comm again. "Captain, the weapons are loaded and ready. The delivery system is showing green across the board. But ma'am, I have to ask, do we really know what these things will do?" Chen stared at the approaching alien fleet. Earth's first colony ship carried humanity's hopes for the future, but it also carried the sleeping forms of 10,000 men, women, and children who had trusted their government to keep them safe. The Zephyrians had made it clear that there would be no negotiation, no compromise, no mercy. "Mr. Roberts," she said quietly, "we're about to find out." The Zephyrian commander's face appeared on the screen again, his crystalline features twisted with what might have been amusement. "Primitive creatures," he said, his voice carrying the rumble of controlled fusion. "Your time has expired. You will now witness the true power of those who command stellar fire. Our weapons burn at the temperature of star cores. Your pathetic metals will become vapor in microseconds." "We're not leaving," Chen replied, standing straighter. "This is our ship, and these are our people. If you want us gone, you'll have to go through us." The Zephyrian's laugh was like the sound of a solar flare. "Brave words from insects. Very well. Let us demonstrate the difference between those who play with sparks and those who birth supernovas." The transmission cut off, and the lead Zephyrian ship unleashed its weapon. A beam of coherent plasma, brighter than the surface of a star, lanced across space toward the Prometheus. The ship's defensive systems activated automatically, projecting energy shields that lasted exactly 0.3 seconds before collapsing completely. The plasma beam struck the ship's port side, and for a moment, Chen thought they were all about to die. But instead of vaporizing the hull instantly, the beam seemed to splash against something invisible. Emergency alarms began screaming throughout the ship. "Damage report!" Chen shouted. "Hull breach on decks 12 through 15, Torres called back. "But somehow we're not dead." The beam hit our experimental armor plating, the stuff they've been testing with crystalline composites. It's holding, but barely. How long can it hold? Against that kind of energy output? Maybe 2 more hits if we're lucky. Chen's mind raced. They had survived the first attack through pure luck, experimental armor that hadn't even been fully tested. But the Zephyrians had 66 more ships, and each one probably carried the same devastating weapons. "Captain," Roberts reported from the weapons bay, "the experimental ordnance is ready for launch. Whatever these things are, they're unlike anything in our standard arsenal. The containment warnings are extensive." "On screen," Chen ordered. The weapons bay camera showed Roberts standing next to a torpedo tube that now contained one of Earth's secret weapons. The warhead didn't look particularly impressive, about the same size as a standard kinetic projectile, with a matte black surface that seemed to absorb light. "The targeting system is locked onto the lead Zephyrian vessel," Roberts continued. "But, Captain, the safety protocols for this weapon are recommending a minimum safe distance of 50,000 kilometers. We're currently at 30,000. "Noted," Chen replied grimly. "Fire when ready." The Prometheus shuddered slightly as the torpedo launched from its forward tube. On the main screen, a small dot of light streaked toward the massive Zephyrian flagship, looking insignificant against the backdrop of the alien fleet's glowing hulls. The Zephyrian commander's face appeared on screen again, this time openly laughing. "A single projectile? This is your response to the might of stellar fire? Primitive creatures, you disappoint us. Your weapon will not even scratch our crystalline armor." The torpedo struck the Zephyrian flagship near its midsection, and for a moment, nothing seemed to happen. The alien commander's expression began to shift from amusement to confusion. Then the fire began. It started as a small orange glow at the point of impact, barely visible against the ship's glowing hull. But instead of fading or being extinguished by the vacuum of space, it began to spread. The orange glow deepened to red, then to white-hot intensity that hurt to look at directly. "What is this?" the Zephyrian commander snarled, his crystalline features twisting with alarm. "Some kind of chemical fire? Impossible. Fire cannot burn in vacuum." But it was burning. The napalm compound that Earth's military scientists had developed was unlike anything that had ever existed before. Enhanced with experimental chemical additives and stabilizers, it burned at temperatures that exceeded the core of most stars. More importantly, it was designed to burn in any environment, including the vacuum of space. The fire spread across the Zephyrian flagship's hull like a living thing, following the crystalline channels that had been designed to conduct their own plasma weapons. The alien ship's beautiful, refracting surface began to warp and melt under the intense heat. "This is impossible!" the commander screamed, his image flickering as his ship's systems began to fail. "Nothing burns hotter than stellar fire! We are the masters of flame!" "We are." His transmission cut off as the fire reached the ship's main power core. The explosion that followed lit up space like a miniature sun. And when the light faded, nothing remained of the Zephyrian flagship except a cloud of superheated gas. The rest of the alien fleet hung motionless in space, apparently stunned by what they had just witnessed. For several long seconds, nobody moved or spoke. Then every single Zephyrian ship began moving at once, but not toward the Prometheus. They were retreating, their formations breaking apart as panic spread through their ranks. Chen's comm system crackled to life with alien voices, all talking at once. The universal translator struggled to keep up with the flood of communications. "Impossible fire, burns in void, hotter than our weapons, the primitive creatures. They wield flame beyond our understanding. Retreat. Inform the High Council. The galaxy has changed. Captain Chen watched the alien fleet scatter in all directions, their crystalline ships disappearing into hyperspace one by one. In less than 5 minutes, the space around Kepler 442b was empty, except for the slowly expanding cloud of gas that had once been the most advanced ship in the Zephyrian fleet. "Captain," Torres said quietly, "they're gone. All of them." Chen slumped back into her command chair, suddenly feeling exhausted. They had won, but she wasn't sure what the victory meant. Humanity had just announced its presence to the galaxy by incinerating an alien flagship with a weapon that burned hotter than stars. "Set course for Kepler 442b, she ordered, "and somebody wake up the colonists. They're going to want to see their new home." As the Prometheus moved toward the planet that would become humanity's first colony, Captain Chen stared out at the stars and wondered what other species might be watching. The Zephyrians had called themselves the Fire Lords of the Outer Spiral, masters of stellar flame. Now they knew better. They had learned that there was a new species in the galaxy, one that didn't just command fire. They had perfected it into something that could burn forever, even in the cold vacuum of space. The age of human fire had truly begun. 6 months after the first contact incident, the colony of New Prometheus thrived on the surface of Kepler 442b. The 10,000 colonists had awakened to find themselves the unwitting pioneers of humanity's first military victory against an alien species. They had also discovered that their new homeworld was more beautiful than anyone had dared hope. Captain Chen, now Colonial Administrator Chen, stood on the observation deck of the newly constructed command center, watching the sunset paint the alien sky in shades of purple and gold. The twin moons were rising over mountain ranges that sparkled with crystalline formations left behind by the Zephyrians eons ago. It was ironic that they were now living among the monuments to the species that had tried to destroy them. "Administrator," called Dr. Marcus Webb, the colony's chief scientist, as he approached with a data tablet in his hands. "We've finished analyzing the Zephyrian technology samples we recovered from their flagship's debris field." Chen turned from the window, still getting used to her new title. The colonial authority had promoted her after receiving her full report, though she suspected they were more interested in the military implications of her actions than her administrative skills. "What did you find, Doctor?" Webb's expression was a mixture of excitement and concern. "Their technology is incredible, but it's also incredibly specialized. Everything they built was designed around manipulating plasma and stellar energy. Their computers, their weapons, even their life support systems, all of it depends on controlled fusion reactions." "That's impressive," Chen said. "I'm sensing a but coming." "But," Webb continued, "their specialization was also their weakness. They built their entire civilization around the assumption that they were the ultimate masters of fire and energy. When they encountered our napalm weapons, it wasn't just a military defeat. It was a complete paradigm shift. Their entire world view was shattered." Chen nodded thoughtfully. She had been wondering why the Zephyrians had fled so completely instead of regrouping and attacking with their superior numbers. Now it made sense. They hadn't just lost a ship, they had lost their identity as the galaxy's fire masters. "Any word from Earth Command about the diplomatic situation?" she asked. "That's the other thing I wanted to discuss," Webb said, his expression growing more serious. "We received a priority transmission this morning. It seems news of our encounter has spread throughout this sector of the galaxy. Multiple alien species have been trying to contact Earth through various communication channels." Chen felt a chill run down her spine. "What kind of contact?" "Trade offers, mostly. It appears that the Zephyrians had been using their fire mastery to dominate several other species in this region." When word spread that humans had developed weapons that could burn even hotter than Zephyrian stellar fire, suddenly everyone wants to be our friend. Webb activated his tablet and showed Chen a list of alien species names that meant nothing to her. The crystalline hegemony, the void walkers, the plasma lords of the inner sphere, they're all reaching out to establish diplomatic relations. Some are offering technology exchanges, others are proposing military alliances. And the Zephyrians themselves? Radio silence. Our deep space monitoring stations haven't detected any Zephyrian ships in this entire sector since the incident. They've completely withdrawn from this region of space. Chen walked back to the window and looked out at the thriving colony below. Construction mechs worked around the clock, building homes and factories and schools for the growing community. Children born on Earth were taking their first steps on an alien world, while their parents worked to create something unprecedented in human history, a truly interstellar civilization. "Doctor," she said quietly, "what have we done?" Webb joined her at the window. "We survived, Administrator. We protected 10,000 innocent people and established humanity's first foothold among the stars. Those are good things. But at what cost? We may have just kicked off an arms race that could consume the entire galaxy. Every species out there is probably trying to develop their own version of our napalm weapons." "Maybe," Webb admitted. "Or maybe we've done something even more important. Maybe we've shown the galaxy that technological superiority doesn't automatically translate to invincibility. The Zephyrians ruled through fear and intimidation, convinced that their mastery of fire made them unbeatable. We proved them wrong." A soft chime indicated an incoming communication. Chen activated the colony's main communication system, and the face of Admiral Harrison appeared on the screen. He looked older than ever, but there was a spark of something in his eyes that might have been pride. "Administrator Chen," he said without preamble, "I trust you've been briefed on the diplomatic developments?" "Yes, sir." "Dr. Webb just brought me up to speed." "Good. I'm calling to inform you that Earth Command has made a decision. The success of your mission and the subsequent diplomatic opportunities that have emerged have convinced the Council that humanity needs to accelerate its expansion into space." Chen felt her stomach drop. "Sir, we're sending 12 more colony ships to this sector, each one carrying advanced versions of the weapons you used against the Zephyrians. Additionally, Earth's first interstellar fleet is being assembled. 24 ships, all armed with what the military is now calling stellar fire weapons." "Admiral, with respect, isn't this exactly the kind of escalation we should be trying to avoid?" Harrison's expression hardened. "Administrator, in the 6 months since your encounter, our intelligence services have identified at least 17 different alien species that possess technology capable of sterilizing entire worlds. The galaxy is not a peaceful place. If humanity is going to survive among the stars, we need to be prepared to defend ourselves." "But sir, the Zephyrians fled. They're not a threat anymore." "The Zephyrians are not the only fire-wielding species in the galaxy," Harrison replied grimly. "Our analysis of the alien communications we've intercepted suggests that there are others, species that make the Zephyrians look like children playing with matches. If we're going to claim our place among the galactic powers, we need to do it from a position of strength." The transmission ended, leaving Chen and Webb alone with the weight of what they had just learned. Humanity's first contact with alien intelligence had set events in motion that neither of them could fully comprehend. "Administrator," Webb said softly, "there's one more thing. Something I didn't mention in my report." "What is it?" Webb activated his tablet again, this time showing her a complex molecular diagram. "When we analyzed the debris from the Zephyrian flagship, we found something unexpected. The napalm compound didn't just burn their ship, it fundamentally altered the crystalline structure of their hull material." Chen studied the diagram, though most of it was beyond her understanding. What does that mean? It means our weapon didn't just destroy their ship through heat and fire. It actually changed the atomic structure of their technology, making it impossible for them to repair or replicate their own systems using the salvaged materials. We didn't just defeat them, we made their entire technological base obsolete. The implications hit Chen like a physical blow. They hadn't just won a battle, they had potentially doomed an entire species to technological collapse. "Doctor," she said slowly, "what if we're the monsters in this story?" Before Webb could answer, another alarm sounded. This one was different from the usual colony alerts. It was the deep space warning system, indicating incoming ships. Chen activated the colony's defense grid and called up the main display. On the screen, a small fleet of ships was approaching Kepler 442b. But these weren't Zephyrian vessels with their crystalline hulls and plasma conduits. These ships were different, sleek, metallic, and completely unfamiliar. "Incoming transmission," announced the communication system. The main screen flickered, and a new alien face appeared. This creature was unlike anything they had seen before. Tall, elegant, with features that seemed to shift and flow like liquid mercury. When it spoke, its voice carried harmonics that made the universal translator struggle. "Greetings, humans of New Prometheus," the alien said. "I am Ambassador Flux of the Eternal Concordance. We come bearing gifts and warnings in equal measure." Chen stepped forward. "This is Administrator Chen. What brings you to our system?" "We have witnessed your encounter with the Zephyrian Fire Lords," Flux replied. "Your species has accomplished something remarkable. You have created a weapon that burns beyond the physical, affecting the very structure of reality itself. This is both impressive and terrifying." "What do you mean?" Chen asked, though she suspected she didn't want to know the answer. "The fire you wielded 6 months ago still burns in space where their flagship was destroyed. It has created what our scientists term a reality scar, a place where the normal laws of physics no longer apply correctly. This is power beyond anything we have seen in our 4 million years of galactic exploration." Chen felt the blood drain from her face. "Are you saying we've damaged space itself?" "You have done something that we thought was impossible," Flux replied. "You have created fire that exists outside the normal universe, and now other species throughout the galaxy are trying to replicate your achievement. They call it the human fire, and they fear it more than any weapon that has ever existed." The transmission paused for a moment. Then Flux continued with what might have been sympathy. "We come to offer you membership in the Eternal Concordance, humanity. You have proven that your species possesses both the creativity and the courage to reshape the galaxy itself. But we also come with a warning. The fire you have unleashed cannot be controlled forever. Someday, it may consume everything we have built among the stars." Chen looked out at the colony below, at the children playing in alien gardens and their parents building humanity's future among the stars. They had come seeking a new home and instead had become the galaxy's newest superpower, armed with weapons that apparently defied the laws of physics themselves. The age of human fire had begun with a desperate battle for survival. Now, as more alien ships appeared on the horizon and diplomatic channels opened across the galaxy, Chen realized that it would define humanity's place among the stars for generations to come. Whether that legacy would be one of protection or destruction remained to be seen. But one thing was certain. The galaxy would never underestimate humanity again. The Firebearers had claimed their place among the stars, and the universe would never be the same.